Salvete discipuli. In today's lesson, we will continue to practice our knowledge of the dative case with the story Anulus Aegyptius, the Egyptian ring. Syphax in taberna sedebat. Caupo Syphaci vinum dedit. Syphax was sitting in the tavern. The innkeeper gave wine to Syphax. So again, sedebat, imperfect tense verb with the bat ending, was sitting. Now also, Syphaci. Okay, so the nominative was Syphax. The dative is Syphaci because the long I like that is the dative of a third declension noun or name, and so gave wine to Syphax. Syphax cauponi anulum tradidit. Pecuniam non habeo inquit quod Neptunus navem meam delevit. Syphax handed over a ring to the innkeeper. I don't have money, he said, because Neptune destroyed my ship. Okay, so caupo was the nominative, just like the name Grumio became Grumio nem. We add an N, and then we once again, for the dative singular of a third declension, noun or name, we add this I. Now, notice very important here. The word ego is not in this sentence. Only this O tells you that it's I have, or more importantly in this case, I don't have. I don't have money because Neptune destroyed my ship. Now, what does he mean by that? He means that his ship was destroyed like in a storm or something, but because he is a polytheist, he believes that Neptune is the god of the sea, and so if his ship was destroyed, it was Neptune involved. Caupo postquam anulum accepit eum inspexit. Anulus antiquus est inquit. The innkeeper, after he took the ring, inspected it. The ring is ancient, he said. Now clearly we get the English word antique from this. In Latin it means ancient. Ita vero antiquus est, Syphax cauponi respondit. Servus Aegyptius mihi anulum dedit. Servus in pyramide anulum invenit. Yes, it's ancient, Syphax replied to the innkeeper. An Egyptian slave gave the ring to me. The slave found the ring in a pyramid. So mihi is the dative singular of ego. Okay, so ego would be the nominative I, but if you want to say to me, it's mihi. Now, is taking a ring from a pyramid a good idea? Isn't this like the classic stuff of curses? Caupo postquam tabernam clausit ad villam suam festinavit. Caupo uxori anulum ostendit. The innkeeper, after he closed the tavern, hurried to his house. The innkeeper showed the ring to his wife. Okay, so we've had a number of clauses so far in the story. Okay, so just take note, okay, a clause is a little mini sentence of sorts that gives you further background. Okay, so we had like quod was a clause, because Neptune destroyed my ship, something like that. Here the clause is in the middle of the sentence. So the main sentence is what is outside of this clause. The main sentence is the innkeeper hurried to his house. Postquam tabernam clausit tells you the time frame, namely after he closed the tavern. Caupo uxori anulum dedit, quod anulus eam delectavit. The innkeeper gave the ring to his wife because she liked the ring. Now, literally, anulus is nominative singular. It's the subject of the verb delectavit, okay? So literally, the ring pleased her, eam, accusative singular, her, okay? But we can, just like Spanish me gusta, okay, you can translate this, you reverse the order of who's actually the subject, and you can say she liked the ring, okay? But be aware of the grammar of this, okay? Literally, it is the ring pleased her, and eam is accusative, even though in the English here, she is the subject of the verb liked. Uxor postridie ad urbem contendebat. Subito servus ingens in via apparuit, pecuniam postulavit. His wife the next day was hurrying to the city. Suddenly a huge slave appeared on the road. He demanded money. Femina quod erat perterrita servo pecuniam dedit. The woman, because she was terrified, gave money to the slave. So again, one thing I like to do, when you have a clause, sometimes it's valuable, like put parentheses around the clause here, okay? Just to remind yourself, what is outside of the clause is the main sentence. The woman gave money to the slave. Remember, the O ending here on a noun here is a dative singular, so to the slave. What's inside of this clause? This gives you some further background information. The reason she gave money to the slave was because she was terrified. Servus anulum conspexit, anulum postulavit. Okay, so he's robbing her of money, but now he sees that she's wearing that ring. The slave caught sight of the ring. He demanded the ring. Now notice, servus is the nominative singular subject of the verb conspexit, okay? But in the next sentence, you don't have a nominative subject. You just have a verb, postulavit, and you have an object, anulum. When you don't have a nominative stated subject, you assume logically the previous subject is the subject of the second verb. So the he of he demanded is the slave. Femina servo eum tradidit. Femina ad tabernam rediit et maritum quaesivit. The woman handed it over to the slave. The woman returned to the tavern and looked for her husband. Okay, now the word eum could be translated as him if this were describing a human, okay? But it is here describing the also masculine noun anulus, okay? So here we're going to translate eum as it. Mox eum invenit, caupo incendium spectabat, eheu taberna ardebat. Soon she found him. The innkeeper was looking at a fire. Oh no, the tavern was burning. Okay, so in the previous slide, remember we talked about how eum there was translated as it because it was describing the ring. Here, the same word eum is translated as him because it's talking about a human. Okay, now clearly, people, this anulus Aegyptius has a curse on it. Think of all the people who have already met with some misfortune because of their contact with this ring. Syphax, his ship sank, Neptune destroyed it, and now the woman was just robbed. Okay, that wasn't pleasant. And now their tavern is on fire. Okay, everyone who comes in contact with this ring so far has met with some type of misfortune. Femina marito rem totam narravit. Anulus in felix est inquit caupo. Anulus tabernam meam delevit. The woman told her husband the whole story. The ring is unlucky, said the innkeeper. The ring destroyed my tavern. Okay, so literally the woman told rem totam, the whole matter, marito, dative singular ending. The woman told the whole matter to her husband, but you can translate in English. You could say the woman told her husband the whole story, okay? We had delewit earlier. Remember that Neptune delewit my ship, destroyed. The English word delete comes from this. Servus ingens postquam pecuniam et annulum cepit ad urbem contendit. The huge slave, after he took the money and the ring, hurried to the city. Okay, well, everyone else who has come in contact with this ring has met with misfortune. Maybe this servus ingens will be luckier? Subito, tres servos conspexit, servi inimici erant, inimici postquam pecuniam conspexerunt servum verberabant. Suddenly he caught sight of 3 slaves. The slaves were enemies. The enemies, after they caught sight of the money, were beating the slave. Okay, so notice we have several verb shifts here. Okay, conspexit, perfect tense, caught sight of. Erant, imperfect, were. Now back conspexerunt. We have the right here juxtaposed. This is the plural, okay, erunt versus here the same verb in the singular. And then we have a nice imperfect tense, were beating, verberabant, were beating. So he's gotten unlucky too. Servus fugit sed annulum amisit. The slave fled, but he lost the ring. So like in the scuffle while he was being beaten over that money, they didn't see the ring. He dropped the ring on the road. Grumio cum Poppaea ambulabat. Annulum in via invenit. Grumio was walking with Poppaea. He found the ring on the road. So remember that story where Poppaea was trying to get her master Lucrio to go to the show because she had invited Grumio to the house? Well, the two of them are out walking. They're kind of on a date together. Okay, so ambulabat, imperfect, was walking. And then invenit, perfect tense, found. Quid vides, rogavit Poppaea? What do you see? Asked Poppaea. Notice the pronoun to is not here. The only thing that tells you that this is you is the S of vides. Okay, so that is why it's so important for us to master those verb endings, not just learn pronouns. Annulum video inquit. Anulus Aegyptius est. I see a ring, he said. It's an Egyptian ring. And again, look, video, the word ego isn't here. The O alone is what tells you that it's I see a ring. Now, how does he know it's an Egyptian ring? Well, it probably has like a scarab on it, which everybody knows is kind of like a symbol of like ancient Egypt. Euge, inquit Poppaea. Anulus felix est. Hooray, said Poppaea. The ring is lucky. Now, we know that anulus in felix est. Everyone who has come in contact with this ring has had misfortune, and now Poppaea is going to take this ring to Pompeii. I hope nothing bad happens to Pompeii. Okay, so we just heard the whole story. Now we're going to go back and I'm going to display for you some select sentences from the story that do show like uses of clauses and other important grammatical things. Caupo postquam tabernam clausit ad villam suam festinavit. The innkeeper, after he closed the shop, hurried to his house. Caupo uxori anulum ostendit. The innkeeper showed the ring to his wife. Femina quod erat perterrita servo pecuniam dedit. The woman, because she was terrified, gave the money to the slave. Femina servo eum tradidit. The woman handed it over to the slave. Femina ad tabernam rediit et maritum quaesivit. The woman returned to the shop and looked for her husband. Servus ingens postquam pecuniam et anulum cepit ad urbem contendit. The huge slave, after he took the money and the ring, hurried to the city. Subito tres servos conspexit. Suddenly he caught sight of 3 slaves. Grumio cum Poppaea ambulabat. Grumio was walking with Poppaea. Anulum invia invenit. He found a ring on the road. Quid vides? Rogavit Poppaea. What do you see? Asked Poppaea. Anulum video inquit. I see a ring, he said. Anulus Aegyptius est. The ring is Egyptian. Auge inquit Poppaea. Hooray, said Poppaea. Anulus Felix est. The ring is lucky.